It's July 2024, and Etsy has been making some pretty significant announcements. We're talking policy-related announcements. So we've got new additions to the Handmade policy to clarify what types of products can be sold. We've now got categories that clearly identify what applies to print-on-demand sellers, and we've even got some policy updates for things like listing images and whether we're allowed to use mockups. So let's take a look at some of the most significant updates for print-on-demand sellers.
All right, we've got 4 main categories of things that I want to take a look at in this video with all of these updates. It all started with this, the article that posted on July 9th, How Etsy is Protecting Creativity and Self-Expression. So the first thing we're going to look at is the new categories that are in the Handmade policy that now further define what different types of products or what different types of sellers really qualify under the Handmade policy. And of course, links to all of the resources on Etsy that I'm going to reference in this video will be in the description, so you can go check them out for yourself. So let's take a look at the Etsy Creativity Standards, which this is what they're calling those updates that they made to the Handmade policy. And this is in the House Rules section. Really what we're focusing on here are 2 of the 4 categories of things that are acceptable in the Handmade policy. Now we have made by a seller, designed by a seller, hand-picked by a seller, or sourced by a seller. So from a print-on-demand perspective, you can probably guess the 2 categories that don't apply to us as print-on-demand sellers, and that would, of course, be the first category, made by a seller, because this category of products is made by hand or by using personal or computerized tools. So that basically means we have to have made 100% of the product. And that's not us, because we're print-on-demand sellers. We make the designs, our production partners print the product, so that's not all being done by us. The other category that does not apply to us, print-on-demand sellers, is the hand-picked by a seller category. As you can see from the brief definition here, we have vintage items, items from nature, collections of items that a seller personally selected and curated for sale. So these are existing items, definitely don't fit into print-on-demand products. So that leaves 2 remaining categories, which we do fit into, designed by a seller and sourced by a seller. Let's take a look at the more detailed descriptions of those. First up, designed by a seller is going to be the category that includes most print-on-demand products. And there's actually a special call out to print-on-demand products in not this category, in the sourced by a seller one, which we'll get to in a second, but that has to do with personalization. In this category of designed by a seller, we have products that include original designs made by the seller, but then are printed by a third party or offered as a digital download. So digital downloads are included here. So if you sell designs as digital downloads rather than print on demand, you are covered here. You are specifically mentioned. The second bullet point under designed by a seller is seller's original designs produced by a production partner. Original designs created by a seller and produced with the assistance of a production partner. So this covers the bulk of print on demand products. There is one really important aspect here written into this policy that we need to pay attention to, though, which I will recap at the end of the video. But for now, the important part here is sellers must disclose that an item is made by a production partner. There is a specific spot in our listings where we need to indicate that we did not make 100% of the product. It was made with the assistance of a production partner. Basically, we can't sell things print on demand that are printed by someone else and claim that we made 100% of the product, because we didn't. Now, I want to address updates to their AI creation policy separately. So that's one of the 4 categories that I want to address in this video. And I don't want to really get into that yet, but this is where they mention seller-prompted AI creations as being acceptable. So we will come back and talk more about AI-created designs, but it is mentioned here under designed by a seller. Now, they also give examples of things that do not qualify as designed by a seller. So selling a bundle or a collection of someone else's work as a digital download. If you are selling a pre-existing design or using a production partner's templates, except in the case of something personalized, which fits under a different category, that is not acceptable under this category. So let's jump down to sourced by a seller and talk about the carve out here specifically for personalized items. It's even mentioned in the first sentence here, items that enable buyer creativity, including craft and party supplies, and items that are personalized with a buyer's custom text or image. Now they mention craft supplies, party supplies, and buyer personalized items produced by a production partner, including items created using a buyer's unique text or image produced by a production partner. And they give an example here, a t-shirt, hat, or neon sign that can be personalized with a buyer's name or special phrase. So that specific category within the sourced by a seller category is a call out saying that we can sell personalized items that a production partner actually helps us produce. So this is one type of print on demand product that they're giving a special category for. They're including it in a different category from designed by a seller. And under examples of items that qualify as sourced by a seller, they even include a buyer personalized t-shirt printed on demand. So very clear that it is acceptable to sell personalized print-on-demand products. This is a nod to another topic in this video we'll get to in just a minute. They're even using a sample image here, which is clearly a mock-up photo. All right, so those are the 4 new categories within the Handmade policy that define what is acceptable. And print-on-demand products fit into designed by a seller and sourced by a seller categories. So we have a place in the Etsy Handmade policy. Now, before we move on to the second topic for this video, I just want to point out one extra layer here that goes along with these new categories. They have actually already implemented a new system of tagging your listings with information to indicate which type of category your product fits into. Just as a quick example, here's a t-shirt listing in my POD Insights account, and under the item details, you can see this new little category where it says designed by POD Insights. It automatically applied this because I selected a production partner and indicated they helped me make this product in my listing when I created it. So Etsy knew that this was designed by me and not something that I handmade 100% myself. All right, now our second topic for the video is that I want to point out some extra detail Etsy has added into their policies for working with production partners. Now, this one we don't have to spend a lot of time on, but I did want to point out that they've now added some additional context, some additional explanation around what's acceptable and what's required when it comes to working with production partners. So this would be our print-on-demand platforms like Printify, Printful, Guten, Gelato. All of those are production partners. On this page, they outline the reasons why you may be working with a production partner that are perfectly acceptable. They also clearly state here, production partners don't need to be local to you. They might be any size business, ranging from one individual crafter to a large-scale automated manufacturing facility. But here is where it reinforces we require sellers using production assistants to transparently share this information on applicable listings. So this is reinforcing in their policies. It's another place where it's mentioned we have to indicate that we are using production partners in our listings. And the reason why I am outlining this is because it is actually easy to miss in Etsy listings when you are creating them. So let's look at a quick example of how you could accidentally violate this policy that Etsy has where we have to disclose our production partners. This is a draft of a t-shirt listing that I pushed to my account from Printify. So I have not published this listing yet. I haven't finalized it. I haven't, given it the final once over. So I've got some of my mockups in here. I've got my description in here. My pricing is all set. I could scroll right past something very important, and I just did. In the core details where it says physical item, it comes over from Printify and Printful and everybody else. It comes over with the default settings. If you notice what it says here is I did, that's an answer to a question, meaning who made this product. So let's click on change and see what it says. This is a physical item, that's correct. Under who made it, this is what we need to change. We have to change this to another company or person. We can leave it's a finished product, that's correct. Made to order is also correct. Now here's our production partner at the very bottom. We have to select a production partner, and for this one it was Printify. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on done. And now my listing, after I click apply, now my listing will be compliant with the Etsy policy because this is being made by one of the print providers at Printify, and I have accurately disclosed that on my listing. All right, so that is the production partner requirements. Let's now talk about the third category for this video, and that is the update that Etsy has made, or the information they've shared on their policies for AI creations. Now, there's a lot to read through here. Of course, there's a link to this page in the description, but the takeaway for us is that we can use AI-generated artwork in our designs. However, there is an extra requirement that we need to disclose in our listings if we used AI to come up with the design. At the beginning of this paragraph, we see that Etsy is saying we have decided to continue to allow sellers to use their original prompts in combination with AI tools to create the artwork they sell on Etsy. Permitted examples of this might include a fantasy scene based on a seller's original prompt or inputs produced by an AI generator, or a custom portrait of a buyer's pet generated by using AI tools. So they're saying it's still acceptable to sell AI-generated artwork on Etsy, as long as you're the one who generated it. As long as you, the seller, put in the prompt in the AI tool that generated the artwork, then you created the design with the assistance of the AI generator, so that's acceptable. However, the last sentence is important here. Sellers must disclose within their listing description if an item is created with the use of AI. So for example, this is a design I created on Kittle for one of my videos a couple of months ago. This image here, this graphic in the center, is supposed to be a diploma graduating, who's graduating from medical school wearing the cap and gown. I generated this using Kittle's AI image generator. So I put in a prompt, it generated this image for me for my design. So on my listing for this product, in order to be compliant with Etsy's policies here about AI-generated art, I would need to have some sentence somewhere in my description that says this design was created partially with the assistance of artificial intelligence. So for example, in my listing description, I have all of my standard stuff here. Now, there's no requirement that it be at the top of your description or even in the main body of your description. So you can put it anywhere in sort of the standard stuff that you might copy and paste. I'm going to use one of these two sentences in my descriptions going forward. So the first one is, a part of this design was made with the assistance of AI image generation. The second one is, this design was made with the assistance of AI image generation. So for example, if I was making a design like this one, where the only thing in here is an image made by an AI image generator, all I did was add the text, I most likely would just use, this design was made with the assistance of AI image generation. But let's say I made a design that was much more complex. There's a lot more going on, and I did a lot of the work, but maybe there was a thing or two that I just couldn't make myself, so I had Kittle's AI image generator to make a couple things in it. Then I might use a part of this design was made with the assistance of AI image generation, just because I would like to specify that it's only a part of the design. But that's just me, totally up to you. But just keep in mind, according to Etsy's updated information on this, we have to disclose that in the description. Make that part of your regular template if you regularly use AI image generators for your designs. All right, the last topic for this video is the updated policy information around listing image requirements. And this is good news. Well, all of this really has been good news for print-on-demand sellers, but this is really good news because there has been swirl about this a couple times within the last 2 to 3 years. And what I mean is there's been a lot of sort of hype around people asking questions or claiming that mock-up photos are not acceptable on Etsy. And, print-on-demand sellers are going to be in trouble because the only photos we have are mock-up photos. And the updates that Etsy made to the listing image requirement policy make it very clear, finally, that we can use mock-up photos when we are using print-on-demand production partners to make our products. So the important part, I'm just going to jump right to it here, is photos of items made with production partners. And you'll see this was updated on July 9th, the same date that they posted that original article. So this section indicates when working with production partners, the requirements for listing photos vary depending on the item. If you design a unique item and a production partner manufactures it for you, use a real photo of the physical end product. If you create an original design, such as artwork or a pattern, that a production partner prints onto a base item, like a t-shirt or mug, that's us, you may use a stock photo mock-up to illustrate the end product. So That's the part that really applies to us here. We made the design, production partner prints it onto a t-shirt or a mug. We can use a stock photo mock-up to illustrate the end product buyers will receive. If it's a personalized or customized item, it has to follow the guidelines that are above. So there's a few more guidelines up here that specifically apply to the personalized products. It's basically saying your first image must be of the finished product, customized item, similar to what buyers will receive. You cannot use a photo of the blank product or a mock-up with placeholder text as the main image. So the only thing you want to avoid if you are selling print-on-demand products, that the whole thing is just text that you're going to customize for the customer, don't use an image that says your text here as the main thumbnail image. So that's the only thing really in here that it's good to see it in writing, but you want to make sure you're not doing. Etsy wants you to show an actual sample of a finished product in the main thumbnail. It can be a mock-up image, but it has to look like an example of the finished product. All right, so that's everything I wanted to cover for this video. As I mentioned, all good news for print-on-demand sellers, but just to recap, there are a couple of things we have to do to make sure that we remain compliant with these updated policies. One, we must indicate that production partners are making our products. So whenever you publish a new listing, make sure you go to that section of the listing and make sure you change that to it's produced by another company and select your production partner. Number two, we must disclose in the description if AI was used to generate all or part of the design. So make sure you're putting that in your descriptions. You can put it right in your template just so it's always there, copied and pasted. And three, if you're selling a personalized design, make sure that your primary thumbnail image is not just generic text that says like your image here or your text here. At the end of the day, these are all positive updates, and now we have some much more concrete things to point to in the policy that describe what's acceptable. So that'll do it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions about anything we covered, and don't forget to check the description for links to all of these pages that we looked at. Don't forget to subscribe to the POD Insights channel. Thank you so much to all subscribers. I really do appreciate your support. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.